the socket here.
That's
And you don't have to worry about your taking it off.
All right, sorry for some technical difficulties. Seems to always happen at the worst times. We're gonna go ahead and call this meeting to order. And I've asked Randy Chitwood to lead us in prayer and pledge. Please, Randy.
Please bow. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for us coming together to do the city of the business tonight. Let us keep in mind the cold temperatures outside and the others who are outside, less fortunate to be inside as we are in a nice warm place, and what we can do to help them. In Jesus' name, amen. Attention, salute, pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. If we can have a roll call.
Terry Lamar,
Here.
Troy Shropshire,
Here.
Lori Bradshaw,
Here.
Travis Miller,
Here.
Randy Chitwood,
Here.
Charles Trammell,
Here.
Chris Gontier,
Here.
Bruce Smith.
Here. We have no petitions from the audience at this time. We'll move on to item 3, the consent agenda. Are there items needing to be pulled?
Yes, sir. Letter A,
Letter A,
letter C,
letter C,
letter K,
letter K,
letter L,
letter L,
and letter N.
letter N.
How about,
We're going to pull P as well. And I'd like to pull R and S.
R and S.
how about, Q and O?
Yeah, we can definitely do that.
Do you have, can you go down the list?
Yes, sir. We are removing, these are the ones we are removing. A, C, K, L, N, O, P, Q, R, and S.
M is in Mike.
Okay, and M is in Mike. Do I have a motion to approve all others?
So move.
Second.
I have a motion from Gontier and a second from Mr. Chitwood. Call for the vote.
Lamar,
Yes.
Shropshire,
Yes.
Bradshaw,
Yes.
Malure,
Yes.
Chitwood,
Yes.
Trammell,
Yes.
Gontier,
Yes.
Smith.
Yes.
Okay. Item A, approve minutes of the January 2nd, 2024 council meeting.
Motion.
Second.
I have a motion from Chitwood, or a motion from Toya, and a second from Mr. Chitwood. Discussion? If none, call for the vote.
Shropshire,
Yes.
Bradshaw,
Yes.
Malure,
Yes.
Chitwood,
Yes.
Trammell,
Yes.
Gontier,
Yes.
Smith,
Abstain.
Lamar.
Yes.
All right. Item C, approve claims for purchase orders through January 16th.
Mr. Mayor, I would ask that you move this one to after letter M because we have a purchase order for that, and that's why I pulled it. And we haven't approved the purchase order yet.
Okay. Do I have a second? A motion on that in a second?
Now, you wanna
I just want to wait to do it later because.
Okay, I understand what you're saying. Thank you. We can do that.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Yep, so we'll move item C to the end. Item K, approve Pryor Creek Police Department to declare surplus the attached firearms from the Pryor Creek Police Department Armory. These firearms will be sold to a third-party vendor or auctioned on contract per statute 11-34104 D3. Do I have a
Make a motion that we have Chubb be the one to auction off these.
we just have to make a motion to discuss first.
Yeah,
Okay. I'll make that motion to discuss.
I'll second it.
we have a motion from Gontier and a second from Joya? Chief?
So some of these guns were in there 20-plus years, probably. To take advancement through the evidence, cleared out a lot of it, got the guns turned over to us through the courts, and now we're gonna turn around. Kind of the purpose of that is, with these guns, with the guns from the armory, is to get new sidearms for the officers, which is about a $50,000 expense. We think, Councilman Smith went through it, and he thinks there's a good chunk going through the auction. He knows a lot more about guns than I do, so I follow on his advice on the auction side of it. I did speak with Chubb's Auction, and they said that they are an FFL dealer, which deals in firearms, and they can license them and do all the paperwork for us. So there's no issue on that end, and they'll do a public auction online and sell them that way.
I have a question for clarification. On one of these judge orders, case number CV 2390, 2A, the property set forth in Exhibit A is hereby authorized for disposition via auction, with the exact nature of said auction proceeding to be determined by the governing body of the city of Pryor Creek. And then when I look back here at Exhibit A, it's got a bunch of them listed for destruction. Now, I'm a little confused on if it refers to that, and then also the ones that are gonna be destroyed, some of it I know we can't sell, maybe they're whatever, but some of them could be parted out.
So part of that, there's a state statute, and I spoke with Chase in reference to that, and so we're good on that end of it as far as the state statute covers us and the court order. But some of those guns, the way he did it, I believe if they were less than $100 worth of value, he'd put them for destruction, but I talked to him about that, so we can sell those. But there are some that are illegal to be sold. So if they're illegal, also spoke to Councilman Smith like that, we can part them out, so like if the barrel's too short, we can remove the barrels and sell the receiver, and such, as far as that goes, so.
Would it be wise to take no action on this so that you can remove the ones that need to be removed, and then we can officially handle it, since it's guns and serial numbers?
I think we're okay to proceed with it. I mean, we can refer to Chase, but I mean,
Are you pulling some off of the Exhibit A to not destroy? Is that what the goal is?
I'm not sure what all's in that exhibit. I know there was a container, just a Tupperware container that had small firearms in it, nothing big, that he had set for destruction. But some of those were just junk firearms. Maybe serial numbers are gone, but we talked about parting them out, and we can do that legally. But if they're not like serial numbers, things that we could sell, that's what going with an FFL dealer will be safe, because they'll know what we can and can't sell. And that would be something I would meet with them prior to selling this and going through the firearms with them, to make sure we're legal.
So this part where it says destruction, can we strike that, and then that way you can have some discretionary?
Yeah, we could do that.
Because I would like to see that removed.
I think to do that properly, we need to amend the order. Because the order is subsection A, as Judge Taylor signed it, property set forth in A, hereby judicially determined to be abandoned, unclaimed, and applicant is authorized to destroy the same. So if we're gonna move anything, we'll call it from A to B. I think we need to amend that order.
Okay, can you look at that as such that if we have to destroy it, we got the legal right to do it, but we don't have to destroy it? Can you read it
That was
that
my
way?
understanding when I read that order, that it was actually
Either or.
given, discretion given to the chief. to
And
do it
state
as he-
statute, I think, protects us on some of that too.
It
as well.
does, the statute, the
Which-
order is worded differently than the order.
Where are you reading that? Read what you read.
So there are two cases, I think that's what's causing some of the confusion.
And that's my point.
So one of the cases is for personal property, one of the cases is firearms. So the CV 2355 is firearms only. So there is an Exhibit A and an Exhibit B in the CV 2355. And the other one, which I think is CV 2390, has like A through F.
Right.
So the firearm one, A, is ordered to be destroyed, which I think, as Bruce said, I think destroying would be taking apart and then selling. Anything in B, we can sell at the discretion of the applicant or as us.
Okay, thank you for clearing that up.
I think that was what's causing it, is we got two case numbers, so we have multiple Exhibit As.
Yeah, that did throw me.
So we will have to go through each gun out of that section to make sure if they're legal or what's not legal. And we'll go through them with Chubb's auction, beforehand, before they're even to
Okay.
that point, to make sure we're legal.
All right. Further
So
discussion?
the deal is basically, we're talking about auctioning them?
Correct.
Okay, that sounds
And
good.
the discussion, if you don't mind real quick, why we chose that versus going through a local dealer?
So I was looking at a local dealer, but I was speaking with Bruce. I mean, like I said, he's well versed on firearms, and he said you'll get a lot more at an auction. Talked to Chubbs, and they said the same thing. They said firearms are hot right now, and you'll make a lot more money going through an auction versus somebody that's gonna have to resell them to make money. So you're selling basically to the consumer.
The same person, they would sell them to.
And they'll just, the way they worked in the past is kind of like Purple Wave. They put their percentage on the end of it. So
On the price of
you
it.
buy something for $900, they tack 10% on the back end of it.
That's the way they have to do it, yeah.
So, all right.
Actually, I think he answered L, and we was talking about K, but both of them are the same. One of them is surplus department guns, and one of them is surplus stolen property guns.
Correct.
So, I think we're good either way.
All right. No further
Do
questions?
I need to amend mine?
What do you have for the,
Technically, I only have a motion to discuss, so you're gonna have to give me another motion anyway.
Motion to sell by auction?
Motion to use Chubb auction
For K and L,
for letter K and L? Can we
Is
do
that-
that?
Well, we
Is
can't
L
do
before?
can only
L
do
yet
it on
because we
K.
haven't brought it up.
Okay, I haven't brought up L yet.
we haven't brought up Bill yet, so the motion will be to approve Pryor Creek Police Department to declare surplus the attached firearms from Pryor Creek Police Department Armory. These firearms will be sold to Chubb's Auction, a third-party vendor, or auctioned on contract per state statute.
I don't think they'll be
Sold
sold.
by-
No, you're not gonna
They're
sell
gonna
No,
them.
we're gonna give them, so take, I'm sorry, Chase, do your thing, Chase.
I do a motion to declare surplus and then have the attached firearms either auctioned or destroyed, and then use Chubb's as your.
What he said, I make that motion.
I'll second it.
So we have a motion from Gantier and a second from Choya.
Yeah, with it being firearms, I want to make sure we dot our i's and cross our t's.
When you're ready, Courtney.
Do we need to list Chubb's auction in there?
Yes, I would.
And Chase, you said if any council member votes yes, we can't participate in the auction.
Since it's going to auction, I think you probably can. When we were talking before, it was an individual, could we just purchase them? I'll look into that. How about that? Or is that gonna impact your vote today?
I think you're right, I think you can if it's at all.
If it's at auction,
'Cause it's
Nice
to
guns
the
on there.
public.
yeah.
It's to the public, you
Yeah,
know,
when we were talking before,
No,
I thought we were
I'll
talking
risk
about
it.
just
Go ahead, let's go.
And you might put something on there, we're gonna put the money in the account to buy new sidearms
Yes,
with that, with Purple Wave stuff, so.
Okay, I'm ready. Is everybody else ready?
call for the vote.
Okay, Bradshaw? Yes. Malure?
Yes.
Chitwood?
Yes.
Trammell?
Yes,
Gantier?
yes,
Smith?
yes.
Lamar?
Yes.
Shropshire?
Yes,
Okay. Item L, approve Pryor Creek Police Department to declare surplus the attached firearms from the Pryor Creek Police Department evidence. These firearms were awarded to Pryor Creek Police Department per case CV 2355 and CV 2390. These firearms will be sold to a third-party vendor or auctioned on contract per statute 113404D3.
I make a motion, we use the same procedure as we did in letter K.
Okay?
I'll
Second,
second it.
Can I clarify one thing?
Yes, sir.
On where the money goes under state statute, it has to go to the general fund.
Can we do a line item in the general fund though?
You can- yeah, one-
That's what we've done before.
Yeah.
As long as it's a 215 number,
Correct.
we're good.
Yeah.
Just,
Yeah.
it has to be deposited into the general
We've,
fund.
we
but-
can, yes, we'll make sure that that goes
Just
to his
wanna make sure
general fund
everybody
account.
understood that.
That's okay.
That wouldn't be capital,
No.
Correct.
that would be
Just,
general,
it has to be 02, 215,
yeah.
whatever.
O2 is the general fund, 215 is police, so
Right.
it'll have a home.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, further discussion? Call for the vote?
Malure?
Yes.
Chitwood?
Yes.
Trammell?
yes,
Gantier?
Yes,
Smith?
yes.
Lamar?
Yes.
Shropshire?
Yes,
Bradshaw? Yes.
Okay, item M, approve moving purchase order 220222-686 in the amount of $10,705 to Motorola Solutions from Police Technology Account 02-215-5260 as of December 31st. The balance was 34,572.09. To Police Capital Outlay 44,445,5424, 122,981.30 as of December 31st, 2023. Before we get that motion, I just want to make sure that we understand that those numbers do not reflect finalized current numbers.
Thank you,
Got you back.
thank you.
So
December's financials are not done, so don't hold that number to me.
that's as of December 31st, very clearly. So
Swagged it in there.
that's right. Do I have a motion?
Make the motion.
I have a motion from Chitwood,
Second.
second from Mr. Choya. Discussion,
Yes.
go for it.
What is this for?
Which one's that one
Motorola Solutions.
So this ties all in with the digi-ticket
for? I think
purpose?
that's.
Yes.
No, this one was the Prim, our new WatchGuard server. This was just the cost of the integration, to move it over with WatchGuard. We had initially encumbered this out of the 5260, but after that account was shut down basically this year and moved over to capital, we needed to move that PO.
Oh, so we're just moving the blanket over to a different account number.
Yes.
And what did you call that? Something guard?
The WatchGuard server.
What is that?
That's our new server for WatchGuard for our in-car camera systems, body cams
Okay.
that we have.
Has nothing to do with the digi-ticket?
No, sir.
Okay. Right. Thank you.
That'll come in a minute. I wasn't using that too.
Okay, further discussion? Call for the vote.
Chitwood,
Yes.
Trammell,
Yes.
Gantier,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Lamar,
Yes.
Shropshire,
Yes.
Bradshaw. Yes. Miller,
Yes.
Okay. Item N, and as soon as I read this, I'd like to kind of clarify that real quick. Approving an expenditure in the amount of $4,661 to Precision Delta Corporation for 10,000 rounds of .223 Remington 55 grain full metal jacket to be paid out of the police ammo account 02-215-5062 as of December 31st. That shows 1,000. This will be a state contract price SW 0220. That is actually a blanket, and for that Precision Delta, it was blanket 911392B, and I believe there was $5,000 in that blanket currently, as of this afternoon.
That makes more sense.
So,
Okay.
so that's a blanket. That's why it looks like there's only 1,000, but there's a
Okay.
blanket in there that was encumbered
Right,
for
mine
two
was-
vendors for 9,000. So the other vendor is 911391B for 4,000. So there are funds available for that.
Okay, so they just didn't pick up the second vendor. Gotcha, okay.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve?
I'll make it.
I'll second. Go ahead.
Okay, we got a motion from Choya and a second from Malor. I'm gonna give it to Malor if that's okay. Okay, further discussion, call for the vote. Oh, do you have,
Yes, I do.
okay, go for it, sorry.
So these other balances of these counts are as estimated, or they're as of December 31st, and we don't know today what's in them. But December 31st on this one had 1,000 in it, but now you're saying it looks like it's got
No, I'm not saying it looks like, I'm saying it has.
There's
So,
two different.
so why couldn't these be up, why couldn't the others be updated?
because I wasn't here to fix that.
Okay.
There's two
We're
accounts
giving
here
you the
instead of
correct
that
balances
one.
right now.
that's why I wanted to be clear with that blanket number, that PO is 91, for anybody who didn't get it, one more time. 911392B, as in boy. And that one has 5,000 on that blanket, so,
But you had two line items on there. You had a 4,000 and 1,000, and she just saw
There was
1,000.
we budgeted $10,000 for this account. There's two blankets, one for 5,000 and one for 4,000, with a $1,000 remaining balance after those blankets have been encumbered. That's where that $1,000 came from.
Right.
does that make sense?
But we
got another
actually have
4,000
encumbered,
that
And-
She didn't pick up, which is great, but that was just what
And
happened.
to date, that blanket has not had any encumbrances on it,
Mhm.
so. Okay? Did that help? Okay, call for the vote.
Trammell,
Yes.
Gantier,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Lamar,
Yes.
Shropshire,
Yes.
Bradshaw,
Yes.
Malure,
Yes.
Chitwood.
Yes.
I'd like to say thanks to Jay for putting these numbers down here to give us an idea of
Yes.
what's going on. She did a wonderful job doing that.
Just keep in mind, like we said,
It's a guesstimate,
it's a guestimate, but it doesn't reflect current.
right?
Okay.
But it is
As of the
something
last
to go
final
off
one,
of.
yes.
Yeah, it is helpful.
Okay. Yes, Jay works very hard on these, so I appreciate her.
She
her work.
did.
All right, item O, approve an expenditure in the amount of $29,630.18 to Saltus Technologies for the DigiTicket software license, mobile client software licensing, data port license, and a Cassell Municipal Court export license to be paid from Police Drug Forfeiture Account 969655555. It's $29,630.18 as of December 31st, 2023. Requested a quote from Tyler Technologies for Brazos e-citation software, but they have not responded. Spoke with eForce for e-citation software, but they do not have an interface.
Motion.
We have a motion from, motion from Choi and a second from Malore.
The only thing that looks kind of odd about this, and I know this Digitech is something we really need to get going, but the exact numbers came up there, so that is kind of odd that the exact numbers would come there. And I know we've got a couple of other items here that are gonna more than make up for that.
Oh, I see
But
what
did we
you're saying.
move something from
You're saying
one-
the balance of, or the amount of the expenditure is the same amount as the balance of. the
Yeah, which is
account.
pretty weird. That just sort of looked odd.
And I know that forfeiture account has 44,000 in it. 'Cause it
Right.
had- Or actually it's got, yeah, I had 44 because we used,
That could be,
And I think that comes up later on. There's so many things here about the Digitech stuff, the Digiticket stuff, that the
and that's why we
numbers are
pulled it
gonna be
last time. 'Cause
confusing.
There was more interfaces. You got it, because you got Spillman, which is our records keeping system. You got
Mm-hmm.
Cassell, which is the court clerk system. Then you got Digi. They all have to talk to each other and work.
Right.
So that, and everybody charges for their part. So
Sure,
that's
sure.
where we had to make sure we were good on everything.
Mm-hmm.
before
Yeah.
we-
I did the math last time we were in here and we pulled it off, so I don't have those exact numbers, but at the beginning of December, when I calculated all of the donations, we had $58,968 and we spent some out of that.
Spent 14 for the Tahoe on it.
Yeah, but there's still enough in
Or not
there
the
to cover
Tahoe, the
this.
truck.
So what would that leave us up with probably?
I would feel more comfortable getting my computer and doing the math and emailing that to you, but I feel comfortable telling you that this 29,000 is in there. I'm pretty sure it's around 44,
It was
but I
44,000.
don't
Might
know.
have just
Okay.
carried the numbers over.
Yeah.
accidentally.
Yeah, I think she just accidentally dropped that down, but it
Yeah.
just looked weird that it was
Yeah.
exactly the same number. Okay, so you said there's about 44 in there?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's about 44, but like I said, I can do the math and let you guys know later.
Okay, that's.
So are we gonna
that's
vote on this and then you let us know what the facts are?
That's up to you. That's on whether you trust me on my math or not.
And I'm 100%, we sat down and talked, had 58,000 in it, we spent 14 on the truck, which left us 44. We spent 14.8 on the truck,
So-
there was 54.8 in it.
So the last meeting, you did said 44,085.97.
Thank you.
look at you,
I just didn't have my notes from the
I'm
last time.
telling you.
Miss Malore. Way to go.
So that just kind of really makes a lot of difference there, that,
And that's a drug forfeiture account, which comes from drug funds.
Yeah.
So using it for something
Sure.
like this is.
okay.
All right,
Okay, I've got some questions about this, and my questions all tie in because the Saltus technology ones after this, it's all tied in together with this DigiKey.
Right.
So my questions are generically about all of it encompassing. Can I ask all those at one time so we can, instead of, okay. How did you go about getting these prices?
So he came to the Chiefs conference, and we've been looking at, since I took over in May, I started looking at e-tickets.
Well, hold on, I'm sorry. To save time, how did you all go? Did you all go out for public? Did you go for bids? Did you publish it in the newspaper and said, we're taking bids for this system? Who all submitted bids? Who was asked to quote on it that didn't? When, for example, in the street committee, when our city engineer goes out and takes bids or seeks bids from all these vendors, we've got it on a spreadsheet up here that says this one is the quote, this one's the quote, this one was asked but did not submit a quote. Do you all have that?
Now, they're sole source minus Brazo, so they're the only one who can do everything that we needed to do. They're the only ones who can interface with Spillman, interface with Cassell, minus Brazos. We reached out to them, no response. We called 3 or 4 times trying to get a quote from them and couldn't get it, so. And then he actually spoke to another one, I can't remember the name of it, was on there, and they don't do the interfaces. So they're the only ones, we just checking, that do that interface with the 3 that we need to make it work. Otherwise, you're wasting your money, if it doesn't interface with Spillman. When I talk about interface, they're sitting in their car, they scan the driver's license, scan the
Right.
license, and it all uploads into the system. Without that, it's pointless.
And
So.
you said Brazos did not?
They did, but they wouldn't answer us. I mean, we tried 4, I think, Captain Trammell could speak to that, but I think he tried 4 times, to speak with them, no response.
Okay. For me, personally, and I would think it would help the group, that when y'all go out for quotes on things like this, if we had, like I just said, a little sheet that said, Motorola, this price, Brazos, no response, that kind of helps me
Yeah, that's fine.
put things together instead of trying to piece it all together.
There's a lot of moving parts on this one. It's not your normal.
But
Yeah.
it
There's
kind
so
of
many
says it
moving
right
parts
here,
on this
though.
one.
Layers.
Yeah, it's kinda listed like that in the agenda.
It says it right
Yeah.
there.
But that's, okay. So how many is this for?
This will get us 8 units and licenses in the cars. So typically, your main guys that utilize it will get them. Now, we are gonna wire all the cars with cables, so you got a power cable and a USB cable, so you can move them car to car if you need to. Sure. The goal is to, over time, with that court fund, equip every car with these, so we're not trying to move them around, because there's licensing fees. I talked to the rep today, and we can move them car to car and use the licensing fee for 8 to get us by if we need to on some of the other units but the plan is each month, we're averaging $1,000 in that court account. So I want every couple months purchase a unit and a license. So basically the scanner, the printer, and a license to get us up to everybody getting them. So the goal is to transition everybody.
And how many is that total?
We've got 18, 24, about 28 units.
How many units do you have on a
That's
shift?
total. It's gonna be a while. Do what?
How many units do you have on a shift?
So you got 18 patrolmen working, so you got 18 patrol guys. But I wanna incorporate SRO, I wanna incorporate code enforcement, I wanna incorporate animal control. I want everybody working on the same system eventually. So, I mean, you can take the tickets out of that, cause they're not right tickets, but
Yeah.
the majority of the department I want. That way, makes her job easier, makes our job easier on dispatch. If they write a ticket, it's on the same system.
And even if you only have 4 officers on the streets that have it for, say, evening shift, if people are doing grant shift, they're gonna need it too. So
Correct.
there could be other officers not on shift that need it.
So eventually, I wanna equip everybody with their, plus the equipment license. You know, if somebody has their own stuff, they can take care of it. The big charge on this is the licensing. The upfront cost is what gets you. Now, the yearly fee's not bad, so there is a yearly cost, but that court fund will cover those yearly fees after we get running. But it's that initial upcharge to get all the licensing going and stuff.
But that's gonna cut your time down,
Yeah, absolutely.
and your dispatchers too, right?
It'll make life a lot easier for everybody.
What other agencies use this?
Digi is a Oklahoma-based company. They're out of Tulsa. The big ones in Oklahoma, I think Kansas Highway Patrol uses them, so they're one of the, and New Orleans Police Department have Digi, so they're the big ones there. But a lot of smaller agencies in the Sand Springs, Sapulpa, a lot of the metro area use them. Some are using a different version, but Digi is the Jinx Mayor is the guy that works for the company that I've been communicating with, so he's a local guy. And they're a Oklahoma-based company.
What does OHP use?
I'm not sure which one they're using right now. I'm not sure.
I was thinking it was Digi, but I don't know for sure.
I don't think it's Digi.
No?
I know Kansas Highway Patrol uses them, but I don't think Highway Patrol uses Digi.
I don't remember.
The problem is, it depends what report system you have, because it's gotta be able to talk to that report system, and you gotta get the interfaces. Well, Motorola owns Spillman now, so they're not gonna let a competitor come in and interface into their system. I mean, they're defeating their purpose. They have a vested interest in Digi, so they're gonna work with Digi, so it just depends who owns them.
I've got a few more questions.
Okay?
You're gonna get 8 units for right now, and then you have to buy printers for those, right?
No, they come to, the package is together, so that total price includes scanner, printer, the cables, everything, and cables for all cars. So that price includes all that.
Okay, and then are you planning on buying these as you can through the next fiscal year?
Correct, as we go
Or
along.
add them on your budget for next year?
Yes,
We-
ma'am.
So,
He gets fees off of court tickets when people pay that. He is just talking about using the funds from that, the revenue he gets from that, to pay for the rest of them.
That, or, you know, if we get to the next year and we're looking at the budget, I'm like, hey, we got some money in general, we can afford to put $8,000 towards some of these, let's add to them. We can do that, so.
so these are the only ones you plan on getting
to get
for
us
the
up to
rest of
everything.
this fiscal year? Okay. And then for those 8 units, when you buy more, do you have to pay additional licensing software fees?
Just through Digi.
The license?
And that's for your in-car computer, essentially. So, say we only had 8 computers, you can just trade those computers out. We got computers for everybody. So that license is per that computer. So no, I mean, your interface with Spillman will still work, your interface with Cassell. The only license you'll be getting from that point on will be additional Digi license for each laptop computer.
And so those computers aren't tied to that car? You can take the actual device and give it to somebody else at another shift, or
No, the computers are tied to the officers.
tied to the officers? Okay, but the printers are tied to that car.
You could move them because they're portable. They just hang on your seat. Realistically, I want to leave them because I don't want
Okay.
stuff getting torn
I
up.
guess what I'm saying is that they're tied to that officer. You're only gonna have 8 in the whole department that can write the digi tickets.
Correct.
Starting out with,
Correct.
gotcha. But to get them all total for the whole department, you're gonna have to do the computers, you're gonna have to do the printers, the paper for the printers, licensing fees for all of them.
Correct.
And what's the estimated cost for that over a period of time?
I don't have the breakdown of the cost of that. You know, we'll go by each license that's on there. I can't remember. The license is gonna be, so the interfaces with Spillman, all that won't change. The only thing that's gonna add to that cost will be your licenses with Digi for each unit. You gotta understand, probably 30% of your department or 20% writes the tickets. So there's people that aren't gonna use them. So 8 will get us the majority of the ticket writers that are coming through, and she can attest to that. The same names come across the desk as far as who writes the tickets. The other ones aren't writing that much, so having a ticket book until we get them over time will suffice.
So the printer's basically just so that you can give the traffic violator a ticket.
And it works for other things too. You print white sheets, if you need something printed in your car, bam, you hit it, and you're printing it right there in your car. You don't have to go back to the station to print something.
Or warning books.
Correct.
We have separate books for tickets and warnings, so that's gonna
And
cut
Digi will
2
do away
different
with that.
costs away.
Okay.
Digi will do both.
So you don't have an estimated, are we gonna have to pay a maintenance cost on these, or
There's a yearly fee per license that's down at the bottom, but we will be able to cover that in the court fee, with what we're making.
okay.
We're paying money anyway, whether you do Digi or you do tickets, you still gotta buy, she bought how many tickets and how much tickets? I mean, you're buying stuff regardless whether you're doing.
Yeah, but if you buy a paper ticket book, you don't have to pay licensing fees.
They're expensive though, and you're buying tons of them at a time.
Yep.
Cables and all that for them.
But I would imagine we do have to buy clerk time.
Yeah.
'cause-
Exactly.
And officer time and et cetera.
It's
So-
just catching up with everybody else. I mean,
Okay.
everybody else has caught up to 2024, and we're 20 years in the past. So trying to catch up to time is what we're trying to do here.
So you've only got 8 minutes working, is what you're saying.
I'm not saying that.
I knew that was coming.
You good?
Couldn't resist it.
All right. Further questions?
Okay, I have no more questions, thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. All right,
Could you read the motion, please?
It's as stated on the agenda.
All right, let's see.
who did we have a first and second from?
Shropshire
I had-
and Malure.
Travis.
All right. You call for the
The
vote.
big question was just the money deal down there.
Yep. All right, call for the vote.
Gantier,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Lamar,
Yes.
Shropshire,
Yes.
Bradshaw,
Yes.
Malure,
Yes.
Chitwood,
Yes.
Trammell,
Yes.
All right, item P. Again, I pulled this one for clarification on the accounting side of that. So approve an expenditure in the amount of $4,690 to Saltus Technologies for Digi-Ticket Mobile Interface to be paid from police training fees account 4747555112, account balance unavailable. We went in and looked, that money is actually sitting in a revenue account, which is gonna be your 000 account. Once the encumbrance is made, it'll move over to that, and there's $7,948.61 in that account.
And that's that account we're talking about, that's a court fund that builds money
Right.
every month. And that's a, you know, so that will help pay for itself over time.
Anybody need that number again?
No, yeah.
Okay,
At least it's covered, that's the
Correct.
thing we're worried about.
all right, do I have a motion for approval? Motion from Malure,
I'll second.
second from Chitwood. Call for the vote.
Smith,
Yes.
Lamar,
Yes.
Shropshire,
Yes.
Bradshaw,
Yes.
Malure,
Yes.
Chitwood,
Yes.
Trammell,
Yes.
Gantier,
Yes.
All right, item Q, approve an expenditure in the amount of $15,348.98 to Motorola Solutions for DigiTicket XML citation installation, interface software, return sharing software, flex return sharing,
Don't mark them off as we voted.
and maintenance for 1 year on both to be paid out of police capital outlay account 444455424, $122,981.30 as of December 31st is in that account. Do I have a,
Motion.
Second.
I have a motion from Chitwood and a second from Malure? Discussion? None? Call for the vote.
Lamar,
Yes.
Shropshire,
Yes.
Bradshaw,
Yes.
Malure,
Yes.
Chitwood,
Yes.
Trammell,
Yes.
Gantier,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Chief. Thank you, everybody, for discussion on that. Item R, approve the mayor to sign a proclamation declaring January 19th, 2024 Dolly Parton Day.
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion from
Second.
Gantier and a second from Chitwood. I'd like to read that proclamation. For those that are unaware, Dolly Parton has been a tremendous benefit to our community, Mays County, with her, you'll see here, the Imagination Library. I just want to go ahead and kind of attest to that, my family's personal experience with that. My daughter Harper got signed up. She actually got signed up under Harper Doyle and Doyle Harper. So we got 2 books every month till she was done, but we did donate the second book to a daycare. But these are books that come delivered directly to the children, and they have to be under the age of 5, I believe, right? 5 and under. The majority of that is paid by the Friends of the Pryor Library. And I'd like to ask you real quick, do you have some of those numbers? How many kids in Mays County receive books? You know, if you don't come to the microphone, Nina is going to tell me to have them come up. Come on up so I don't get yelled at. I'm sure. So you just share some stats with us real quick.
In February, we will send out 812 books to people in Mays County. And so, and the least expensive book is $1.20, and the most is $1.85. And we paid, I'm gonna run over somebody, 81 cents in postage. So the foundation is picking up quite a bit of the money, but we still pay about $25 to $30 a year for 12 books to go to one child. So that's inexpensive, very inexpensive. And they're good quality books. They're age appropriate. So if you had a 2-year-old, a 3, they would each get a different book every month because of the age.
Oh, good.
And they're quality books.
They are.
If you know about Scholastic Book Fair, you know, they're better than that. And so that kind of gives you an idea that they are good. And I think they lasted a month with all the reading you did, right?
Yeah, no, listen, I'm gonna tell you, literacy is so important, and I know Carrie is back there just loving this conversation. But the truth is what it did for our home, and I'm just speaking for us, you heard how many books go out in Mays County. But for our home, it gave me time to sit with my daughter on my lap and read with her. In her class, Lori, you were her teacher. She is very literate. At 6 years old, is reading what most kids a grade or two above her do. And I believe that the contribution that Imagination Library has in that setting of the family and promoting that parent one-on-one time with kids is absolutely invaluable. And I think it's important to note that in our in-kinds this year, we did give $1,500 to the Friends of the Library for this program to help cover some of the cost of Pryor's, cover some of the cost. It was, it was quite a bit, but that's what that money went to, is to help promote child literacy and helping families do what families should be doing. So,
And I think the book coming directly to the child's home gives the parent, it gives the parent one less excuse, okay? I know their phones are important to them, I know their iPads, all their social devices are important. But if that book's right there, it's pretty hard to say, oh, I just don't have time to go buy you a book, or I don't have time to go to the library, or whatever. That book's right there. We're hoping that makes a difference, I'm sure.
well, and
Not in every household.
I will say, when Harper graduated from this program, she was very emotionally upset. She wasn't going to get those. So
Madam Mayor, right now, we're mailing out over 800 books a month.
that's awesome.
That's how much, we pay half that book budget. The state pays the other half.
That's awesome.
That's what we're doing right now.
835 for February.
Yeah. It's
So-
escalating. We started with 8 in 2017. Now we're over 800.
So
It's a good program.
I wanted to just say that I was familiar with this before this came out on the agenda. And I agree with the mayor that it is a very beneficial and impactful program.
and this is nationwide.
Yes.
This is very much nationwide.
Worldwide.
Yeah.
Worldwide.
If
Are
I'm
you
not
able
mistaken,
to
my
put-
granddaughter,
Oh.
who is a proficient reader.
Are you able to put things from the library? Like, are you able to put things in the mail, like with programs that you have for, you guys can't promote, like, things going on at the library for something like this, or is that?
Not with the mailings that go out. Dolly Parton's Imagination Library sends those directly, so they don't come to us
They don't come to
first.
you. Does it give you a list of addresses that are participating to where you guys could?
Not
I'm
that-
just curious
not
if that
the
would help.
library would be allowed to use.
Okay, gotcha,
They wouldn't have signed up for that.
gotcha. I was just curious if that was a way you could get some,
Yeah.
yeah.
And the topics on the books were interesting. There were some books where one page was Spanish, the other page was English. And if you're an adult and you like that, Mark Twain has a book that's written that way. If you can figure that out, maybe you get a bonus brownie point. But the idea is these books are very motivating for the kids. Some of them talk about, why we look the way we look, or some of them talk about families and pets and how families and pets should get along. Some of them are just funny, but the idea is that every month these kids look forward to that, and it's promoting serious literacy with our young readers.
And one of the things that I really, my son was part of the Dolly Parton Imagination Library when we lived in Joplin too. And one of the things that I really appreciate about them is on the inside flap, there are recommendations for caregivers who are reading to their children on how to interact with these books to get the most out of them. Because what they're trying to do is teach kids their early literacy skills that get them ready to learn how to read. And not all of us were read to as when we were kids. And so we don't know, to point at the words and to ask questions about the
Right.
pictures and to do that kind of thing. And so Dolly Parton's Imagination Library has taken that and said, this is how you can do it. This is how you can maximize, but also in a very user-friendly, non-intimidating kind of way. So I think that is one of the best benefits of these particular books that go to the houses.
Well, and age appropriate, so birth to 1 year, it might be colors, or it might be, these are my eyes, or these are my ears, just very basic things that honestly parents, they don't really think of, I need to teach them. So the academic readiness, the vocabulary is so rich, and the colors and the shapes and all the things that's going to Head Start, it's a great program.
It's good.
touch with Dolly Parton's management. Ted Miller is the president of the Imagination Library, and I spoke with him today, and he wants a picture, so can we take a picture of the mayor? With the Dolly Parton
Well, let me read this and then we'll do a picture. So,
Did
you say we have to pass? Hang on, let me get my eyebrows.
Sweat.
All right, let me get my eyebrows under control here. All right. So, we all know Dolly Parton is a lifelong musician and actress and other things. Today we focus directly on this and her contribution to.
What's her birthday?
Today is
No,
the 19th. Well, happy birthday, Dolly. All right. All right. Dolly Parton Day, January 29th, 2024.
About the 19th.
What did I say?
29th.
I did not. Turn your hearing aids on. Let me start over. January 19th. Sorry, Dolly. This is your day. January 19th, 2024. Whereas Dolly started Imagination Library in 1995, giving books to children of Sevier County, Tennessee. Whereas Dolly has sent over 227 million books to children in the United States and other countries. And whereas embracing Dolly's vision to inspire a love of reading, August of 2017, Friends of Pryor Creek Library became part of the Imagination Library family. And whereas Friends of the Pryor Creek Library will offer children of Mays County the magic and excitement books can create in 2024. And whereas Friends of the Pryor Creek Library is working to continue Dolly's dream that every child will have a book. Now therefore be it proclaimed by the mayor and the city council of Pryor Creek that this council for and in behalf of the people of Pryor Creek does hereby declare January 19th, 2024 to be Dolly Parton Day in the city of Pryor Creek.
Hey, Zach, can we do vote first? Gosh.
Too many people.
No, no.
We'll call for the vote and then we'll take a picture.
There you go.
All right,
Make it
let's
legal.
approve this before we take a picture.
Shropshire. Shropshire.
Yes. Sorry.
Bradshaw.
Yes.
Malure.
Yes.
Chitwood.
Yes.
Trammell.
Yes.
Gantier.
Yes.
Smith.
Yes.
Lamar.
Yes.
Okay.
He's very
Now you're
excited about Dolly.
Now fix your eyebrows.
Oh, man.
I didn't know how it worked.
He just for the picture.
All one of them.
Is this looking photo bomb?
Yeah, I know, right? So it's Friends of the Library, is that their team? Or is it just truly a different, is that a different?
I think it's the same.
It's the same thing, it's the same, it's their board or whatever, the library board, okay, same. Okay, they just call, I like that, Friends of the Library. That's
I do.
That's good.
And you're gonna send this?
Yeah, you get a frame.
Yeah, not very long.
Oh, we went from 8 to 800.
Yeah, I was wondering, 'cause I was like, this wasn't. I was like,
How cool is that?
That's cool.
Dolly, thank you very much.
very good, good stuff.
All right. Item S, approve an expenditure not to exceed the amount of $8,500, including shipping costs to, I just lost my place. Is it Butcher, buddy? Butcher Municipal North America Incorporated to exchange parts for necessary repairs to the street sweeper to be paid from FEMA reimbursement account 141455342, account balance unavailable, and I will clarify this as soon as we're done. Council approved the original order January 2nd, 2024. The first invoice will be adjusted from $13,324.44 to $8,769.67. So in the FEMA reimbursement accounts, did I get that correct, Courtney? FEMA reimbursement accounts, we can see that there's $16,638.28 available for this. So,
And I'll be correct, that should be 5027, 5342 is our repair and maintenance.
right, yes, and so that was my next thing, so thank you very much. But it is, we checked minutes before the meeting, and that adjustment was split, that FEMA reimbursement was split a couple different ways. And so the share that is there available is 16,638.28. And that was that was put in there in October. So
I'm sure somebody has a question how this come up about.
can you give us a 1-minute
What happened,
synopsis?
there was, we looked all over the places for this, and like I said, this is the place they said, oh yeah, we have two. So come to find out, the two that they had, one is different from the other. There's one number that separates them. Well, way my luck goes, they sent me the one that didn't fit because of the shaft size on through there. This here would not fit on the shaft that goes on through on the sweeper. So we called them up and they said, oh yeah, we did when we was looking this up, it was our fault. So they're gonna send a truck to pick it up, no charge. They're gonna send it back. Well, the way their invoices and purchasing does is when this gets back on their books, they will take it off. But when they ship the new one with this other part, it will be invoiced with the new part that comes in. And what the deal is when they hadn't, what they did on their looking up, there was an upgrade on the propeller. The propeller is the part that makes the wind, and they have it's a cover that goes over that. They made an upgrade to the cover. Well, it does not match the one that we have, or the new one they sent. There's another part that mounts to that mounts onto the sweeper. It does not match up because they said, oh yeah, there was an upgrade. They were talking to, I can't remember his name, Jim, I think it was on the phone. And he said, yeah, he said that I guess I should have said something to begin with. But anyway, the part that mounts up to the cover that covers the propeller does not match. And we thought about, well, we could try to weld it maybe to make it where it would fit. Well, but if we messed it up, then you'd have another $4,000 piece of metal down there, yeah, that you could sell for that. So the first one will be cut 4,500, whatever it is. It will be going down, and then so it'll be 4,500 and some, I think it is, off of the first one. Then they will do another invoice with this other part, which is actually, I think it's 3,700. So it will be that plus the propeller that they're sending back down. So the other one's going to be cut, but it will be on another invoice. And the shipping, I know, what was the total amount?
87.69.
Okay, and I'm not sure on the shipping. I don't know what that was what he said it should be, but now it may be a little bit more, it may be a little bit less. It just depends on the shipping that comes down.
Yeah. We got to get this street sweeper going.
Yes, and because like I said, if we don't, there's nothing else could be used for, and we've been looking up, within a couple of years.
Did we put a plow on the front of that thing and like just weld one and?
Well,
there's always something. There's always something. So.
But that's what the problem. It was confusing for me because I thought he was trying to charge, extra for this. But then I finally understood what he was talking about. It's just taking it off the first invoice, and we will put it first invoice, putting it on the second invoice. So that's why both of them are looking pretty close to the same.
So you just need a different shroud that blade will go into.
Yeah, because you have your propeller, and you got a cover. Then there's another part that mounts onto this here that bolts down to the sweeper itself.
Yeah.
So the cover mounts, but this also mounts on through there. And, but, I mean, glad we found that now, but because again, there's no other place to find these parts. So we're probably within 2 to 3 years where we really need to trade that off.
And to Buddy's defense, a lot of times with manufacturers now, they'll make those modifications that they've made as they've improved the machines and not change the individual SKU number on file. And that was a case of what happened is the new modified part carries the same SKU warehousing number as the old one. And Buddy ordered it right and they sent it right, but they didn't know that we needed the one that, so.
Right.
Yes, because that was, just like I said, the shaft size, when they do that, and when they do like I said, when they do an upgrade, a lot of times they don't have /1 or whatever, but they were the same numbers. And that's where we kind of got mixed up with this, so that's why that is.
Mayor, I might say I went down and looked at this equipment. In Choya, it looks like the intake of a turbine. That's what it looks like.
Yeah.
And they've repaired the outside and repaired it and welded it. It looks like one big weld. And all this is an attempt to take a 20-year-old machine and keep going. When we look at a new one, we're looking at $500,000 probably.
Yeah.
So they're
Yeah.
trying to keep this one going.
Yeah, the first time on that cover that's put in through, we welded it 2 or 3 different times, just, and now it's to the point that there's no other place.
There's nothing to weld
on.
to, yeah.
So, but,
Another thing too, that when you do all that welding and everything, then you gotta balance the rascal.
well, if it had been the propeller part on it, yeah, there's no way, cause that's what spins. And this is just the cover that holds everything, that helps build the suction.
Right.
Runs to the wonder hose and then down on the gutter side, so it's, and if it leaks, then you lose suction, then it doesn't work at all, so.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Further questions, comments? If none, call for the vote.
I haven't had a motion.
Motion?
Make a motion.
Second.
We have a motion for Mr. Malure and a second for Mr. Chitwood.
Okay, now can I call for the vote?
Yeah,
Okay,
go right
Bradshaw,
Yes.
Malure,
Yes.
Chitwood,
Yes.
Trammell,
Yes.
Gantier,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Lamar,
Yes.
Shropshire.
Yes?
All right, thank you. We're going to go to item 4, the mayor's report.
Mr. Mayor, we've got to pick that one up that we.
Oh, yeah, thank you, Chris. Gosh, wow.
C.
Item C, approve claims for purchase orders through January 16th, 2024. Do I have a
So
motion?
moved.
Second.
I have a motion from Gantier and a second from Chitwood. Call for the vote.
Malure,
Yes.
Chitwood,
Yes.
Trammell,
Yes.
Gantier,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Lamar,
No.
Shropshire,
Yes.
Bradshaw.
Yes.
Okay. Item 4, mayor's report. Discussion and possible action to approve a grant and grant process from Google in the amount of $10,000 for computers and technology to be owned by the city of Pryor. This will be initially paid out of and reimbursed back to Clerk Capital Outlay 444455417. There's $59,137.35 as of December 31st, 2023.
I'll take a motion.
Second.
A motion from Choya and a second from Mr. Malure.
I have a question.
Okay, go for it.
Is this a guarantee that we will receive the funds?
Yes, sir. I actually have sent that on to Chase. Chase has reviewed the email chains. How this has come to, and I'll just briefly, as we looked at the technology that we have, most of you should have at least been or had the option to, or can if you want, get one of these. Can you hold that up? These 200-year-old iPads that the city has. They're not upgradable. They're out of date. They're awful. And in an effort to help you guys be able to get the technology that we need in order to get stuff without having to use your own technology, we'd like to keep that way. And updating our resources. I reached out to our local plant director here, and he had said to me at a meeting, Mayor, if you need anything, give me a call. So I gave him a call and I said, hey, I do need something. I need to know if Google has grants for technology that the city could utilize for Chromebooks for the council. And he said, well, I'm going to hook you up with this lady named Katie. Katie is the global government affairs lady in California, and they were quick to respond. And last week we got an approval. I believe it is not a gift. It is a sponsorship grant scenario. I ran it by Chase to make sure we were good. He's got a, what do they call that? A statement that you have to send back.
Yeah, which I've already sent it to you. haven't I?
Yes, you did. Basically saying that we understand that Google is a company, that Google blah, 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 that they do lobby things, but this is not. This is a sponsorship, and everything is in accordance. How it works basically is we make the purchase, then we create an invoice and a PO, and they'll reimburse us on that. Now, clearly, for anybody that understands Chromebooks, we ordered 12 is what I requested. So that would give all of you one, that would give us some for the municipal clerks to use, et cetera, so that we all have the same. And then if we had an extra, that's always good to have, one on the shelf if they're aware of that. They came back and said that they felt, based on their review, so I guess Chromebooks are way more expensive in California, that 12 Chromebooks, average price locally is about $250. You can go higher, you can go lower. But they felt 10,000 was more than was an adequate amount, and if it wasn't enough, then they would adjust accordingly. but any excess, if we got what we needed, excess could be used at our discretion for technology that the city can own. So what we do with the remaining at this point, I don't know. We have,
Be like upgrading our,
well, let me kind of throw some ideas out there. These things are bulky and ugly. We could put some new microphones. We could upgrade, depending on the cost, we could look at upgrading our video system. There's other things that we can do with that money, and so I won't know the amount that we have to play with until we're done, but I will have to fill out forms and keep them documented. This is just accepting that sponsorship from Google and showing our gratitude to their generosity to help us come into 2024 a little more prepared and innovative. So that's what we're looking for is.
Question.
Yes, sir.
Mayor, we need a lot worse than Chrome is this system redone. Can we use it for this system rather than the Chrome notebooks?
We will be buying the Chromebooks that they told us we could buy. That comes first. That was the initial.
Can we use this money for the system rather than the Chromebooks?
We have to buy the Chromebooks.
We have to buy
use
the
the remaining
Chromebooks.
funds for other stuff.
So let's say we spend $3,000 to buy these 12 Chromebooks. That gives us $7,000 that we could invest in whatever we deem. And we want to make sure that we research that. We've already had some discussions with our technology guys at Fiber, like putting some thought into what we could do. They're computer guys. They know the cost of some of this. They hook up our stuff and they're already kind of putting their pen and paper to what we could do. The idea is that we requested the Chromebooks. That's the initial, and that was what they gave the sponsorship for, was for the Chromebooks. The extra is for us to do with what we can. So the Chromebooks have to be bought, yes.
Okay, they have to be bought. We can't use it just for this.
Yes, and remember that those are not just for you guys. Those are also for the clerks that deal with the municipal.
Well, if we just
courts.
buy 2 or 3 and use the rest for this system.
No, 12 is the number. 12 is the number, and I want to maintain good relationships with those that.
Well, I don't want one, so you can take 11.
We'll still get 12. So.
You'll get a no. Go ahead.
Well, just know that, I mean, you can vote how you want, but a no vote really doesn't, I mean, they are sharing with us as partnership, saying, hey, we'll sponsor this if that's what you want. So, it's really kind of a good thing. If you're not a computer guy, that's great, but, it is what it is, so.
It'd kind of be like Chevy saying, I'll give you $10,000 to buy these Chevy stuff over here, and you say, well, I'll take your $10,000, but I think I'm gonna buy these Ford parts. I don't think they would go for them that way.
We don't know because we haven't seen anything. That's my question.
What do you mean?
If we approach Google and say, would you give us this 10,000 to redo our system? Would they do that, or they say, no, you gotta buy Chromebooks?
Zach, can I say something?
Sure.
We don't need $10,000 to redo this. I already have quotes for everything, and it's not gonna cost that much money.
You
We can
kept
buy these.
quiet. I didn't know what it was. How much is it?
I don't have the numbers with me, but I
Oh.
can tell you the cameras are $2,000.
I think what we need to look at is that, we reached out to Google and said, do you have grants available? And Google came back and said, we will give a sponsorship for this and provide what you're asking for plus. And so I think that's a great blessing to the city. And I really respect their fast response. This whole process started, I think it was around November 15th that I reached out to them, so.
well, I'm looking at the fact that, if we buy the 12, those that wanna use them can, those that don't need them.
That's exactly it. If you
And we're
don't want,
still gonna get some money that we wouldn't have had to go towards.
absolutely.
And so.
Yeah, and nobody's saying you have to take the Chromebook. They are providing that resource because they saw that the need would be there for the majority of the people, so. Further discussion? Questions? Go ahead and call for the vote.
Chitwood?
Yes.
Trammell?
No.
Gantier?
Yes.
Smith?
No.
Lamar?
Yes.
Shropshire?
Yes.
Bradshaw?
Yes.
Malure?
Yes.
Awesome, thank you. And we'll keep you guys posted as we go forward. All right, item B, discussion and possible action regarding the financial stability of the city to determine if hiring freeze should be amended to responsibly hire a patrol officer To meet the requirements of the narcotics grant approved by council on November 21st, 2023.
Motion.
Second.
I have a motion from Choya and a second from Bradshaw.
So this grant's that grant that we talked about, I think, in November. And it's the $125,000 grant over a 3-year period. Part of the preference of that was military preference is preferred, which we found a candidate that is, he's still in the military, gets out March 18th, he'll be home. So that's who we're looking at hiring. We put the pen to paper, and that covers almost 2 years of salary and benefits. Of course, the city would have to pick up the remaining year, but as we've spoken before, I just found out actually there's 3 on the table on applications out there that other people have put out. So when we hire somebody, it's going to take me 10 months to a year to get an uncertified guy, which this guy is, out on the street. So in that meantime, we're going to be lagging officers, if an officer leaves between now and then. We have 2 open spots right now, and that's the goal is for this one to kind of do that, and the $125,000 from the government will offset a huge cost of that. Part of the fear of mine is if we don't take it and accept it, we probably won't get that grant again. Other agencies have 2 of these grants at a time. I just went for 1 to see where we're at, but that's kind of where we're at on this position. It's for the grant position.
I'm totally for you that doing this. I have a problem with the part here that says regarding the financial stability of the city. We've not heard a financial report yet.
I had to word it that way because that's what the hiring freeze was put on at.
Right.
But keep in mind on this position, that grant position, which covers almost 2 years salary and benefits of that officer.
Right.
So the city, if we lose.
That's his wages, right?
Salary and benefits.
Okay.
So it'll be everything. It's almost,
Okay.
it's like short $15,000 in 2 years.
When are we going to come up with some sort of a financial statement of what we're doing and where we're at and what?
That's beyond me.
Yeah, that's not.
I think you're
that's
looking
not
at the
his
wrong
problem.
person for that. I
agree.
do that stuff.
I know, but I mean, we were supposed to have basically Jeff come in and give us a report and stuff like that.
He
That's
can't do
not
that
happening.
until I finish my job. He
Can
can't
we-
give
When
you
are you
guys a
gonna
full
finish your
6
job?
months of numbers.
Can
He
we-
can't give you guys a full 6 months of numbers until I close December's financials. So I said, Jeff, it's kind of pointless for you to come up here and talk if you don't have the numbers. You can't do anything. That's why you have to come
I
up
think
here
it's
yet.
kind of pointless for us to even talk about this until we get those numbers.
Well, if we don't,
I'm all for him hiring his man. That's a good deal.
Yep.
But if we don't have money to sustain the rest of the year, it won't make any difference. And we've got to know.
this position's
figures on it.
covered for almost 2 years. We can pull more now. And so the caveat to that is this kid, he's in the military, so he's enlisted right now. He won't be back until March 18th.
So we got a little time.
Well, when he gets back, so he's got applications out there. So my point of moving is so we can get the grant rolling. We can go ahead and offer him the position. He can accept it so we don't lose him because we had 12 applications, I think, for these positions in over a month and a half. It's hard to hire.
Do
If
we
we start
have,
losing people, we're gonna be in some major trouble.
When does the grant expire, chief?
When did we're working through that now. She's pushing us to accept it, like, get the ball rolling on it, Danielle is. So I don't know, it must be coming up because our grant writer's like, hey, we gotta get this one.
Got to get it moving.
When's the time limit? We've got to have it done.
The grant writer handles that, so Danielle handles that side of it. She's the one who wrote the grant, she's the one who refers to us to push it. So this guy,
Like I said, I'm all on your side to hire a man and the deal's good. But if we don't have the money to make the rest of the year or next year, it won't make any difference.
this is 2 years of salary, I mean, he's paid.
If we're $750,000 in the hole right now, that won't help you.
Well, if we lose people, then we're really going to be in trouble because then
Well,
overtime's gonna
but
start.
we haven't lost anybody yet. We
They've
could
got
have.
asked out and they've made it very clear.
But regardless, like I said, I agree with you. I just got to know where the money's at. Until he tells us where we're at, I can't vote for either.
What about others on the?
But, okay, I don't know, I just believe we need to make the hire. I feel like we need to do that, and the chief's told us there's the need. We know the need's there. We've heard in the past couple meetings that we believe things are trending up. We don't know that. We don't have the numbers. That is a true statement, but we have $125,000 to cover the first 2 years. And so is is it necessary to know that right now to be able to go ahead and hire who the chief wants and get this going? I just would hate for this grant to all of a sudden, the grant writer comes back and says, time's up, we can't do that, and everything's,
Do you have, and I'm gonna get kind of off in the weeds on this, and I hate to do this, but do you have a list of who you're gonna lay off first when we have to start laying off?
I'm not even going to that point right now, because that's not even a topic.
We have to think about that.
That's the topic that I'm not even gonna open that conversation.
I'm not
As a
saying to
chief,
give a
I've heard that
name.
before, and I've been at this city and around this city for 17 years, and I've heard that same talk the whole time I was here as patrol, and it never happened. This is free money. Eventually, you're gonna pay it anyway. If an officer gets hurt because we're shorthanded, what do you think they're gonna do? They're gonna say, the chief has written letters, he's come to you guys, and you're not hiring. So if an officer gets hurt because we're short-staffed, who do you think they're gonna go after? It's not gonna be the chief of police.
If they do that, then you say, where's the money coming from?
He's gonna say he's got a $125,000 grant. He's laid out in front of you.
If we talked about before, I think this year we started, and you all correct me, we started with a $9 million budget. And next year we're gonna have probably an $8 million budget. So if we're $1 million short, somebody's gonna get laid off. There's no other way around that. Well, there is another way around it. Who could take us out of this bind is the Pryor school system. The Pryor school system could pay for every SRO and pay for their overtime, and you would have money for a man on the street.
The city of Pryor's problem is not the Pryor Public Schools problem. There's talks going to
I
happen.
think it is.
It's not. It's different money. It's different boards. It's different. We're getting in a whole different area there.
Yep.
Our problem is our problem. They didn't put us here.
Well, then we'll have to pull SROs off and put in
Then you're going to pay for them because they're paying for that right now.
not all of it. Their last one's
They're
only
paying
paying
for the majority of
20,000.
it. And I'm not doing it as chief. I'm not pulling my SROs.
They are paying for all of the time those SROs are in those buildings is compensated more than fairly. The school is doing their share.
Are they paying for the overtime for them?
That's one we've talked about. I talked to you in my office about it, and everybody that came to my office, I talked about it, that February 5th, I'm going to their board meeting, and I'm talking to them about that. We had that conversation.
So, whenever we approved those SRO contracts earlier, I met with the mayor, Courtney, and you, and the mayor's, actually in the conference room. And there was a decision made, you agreed to break out those SRO costs on the financials, and that has never happened.
I did not say that I would break it out on the financials. I can get you more documentation on everything.
No. I went in with a proposal to break out the SROs into their separate line account, similar to the way we break out the animal shelter. And you said that was not doable, but you agreed to break out the SROs and all of their costs within the 02215 account. And those still aren't on there, Courtney. I mean, we're not going to be able to negotiate with the SROs on the SROs logically until we know what those SROs are actually costing. And I think Pryor Public Schools will be willing to pay more if they need to. But we've got to see those costs. But, tonight, the SROs aren't on the agenda tonight.
No, they're
Let's go back to the item B, and it's regarding the financial stability of the city to responsibly hire a patrol officer. I think hiring this officer that's going to cost us only $15,000 for 2 years is a responsible decision.
Yeah.
I absolutely support that decision. But let's talk about the financial stability of the city. And Lori, I'm not picking on you, but I am gonna pick on you a little bit. You said we're trending in the right direction for the last 2 months, and we have been. We've generated revenues over expenses. But that still puts us at $721,000 in the hole for this fiscal year.
Sure.
When the city accountant told us we should actually be saving $1.2 million this year. That's the concern, I think, of a lot of people here. We are not financially stable right now. And I hear people say we're doing everything we can, but I tell you, I'm sitting here tonight livid that there is a purchase order floating around here for $103, $130 to buy breakfast for police officers at Boomerang Grill? Or Boomerang, or
It
whatever?
was a
it's
search
called?
warrant, that's 4 in the morning, and there was 2 of us there that approved that. That could have come out of a donation account, so we can pull it out of that. But you weren't on that search warrant, and you're not the chief of police making that decision.
That also
at
helped
time.
take care of some of the officers from other agencies that were there.
Correct. And that's something that we can discuss behind closed doors, but that's neither here nor there. $130 isn't what we're talking about here.
No, the $130 shows that we are not taking the financial stability of the
Have you
city
pulled
seriously.
the grant that the grants that the police, talk about the police department, how much grants we brought in.
I-
Talk about the
I get
donation.
that. I get
That's
that.
well more than $130.
But we should be saving, I'm supporting you on this.
I
On
understand,
this
but you're
police
calling me out
officer.
also in the same breath.
Well, yeah, I am.
Okay.
I'm calling out everyone,
And
here, and I
I'm-
guess you were there that morning too.
Absolutely, and I am the one that approved that breakfast. Listen, I'm gonna discuss a conversation that I had this morning with our treasurer, and the discussions that I've had. The treasurer does not feel the same as several members of this council about the status of our city. Also, and I'm not gonna throw the name of the officer out there because that decision needs to be made by him first publicly when he decides, but we know that we are losing a sergeant. And that sergeant is paid much higher than this entry-level officer will be paid. This officer will be at the bottom of the list because he's, one, not CLEAT certified right now. And several years ago, we made a decision that you would be paid at a higher step and range if you were. He is not. So we're bringing him in at the, I hate to say it, it sounds derogatory, but the bottom of the barrel to replace a sergeant. That sergeant was budgeted when we did this. There is absolutely no loss of money by bringing on somebody who 2 years the salary is covered by this grant. And, you know, we might find that this is an amazing officer that's going to benefit the city down the road. Sometimes you have to invest in assets. Our employees absolutely are assets to our city. We have gone back and forth and back and forth. Our overtime is out of control. We're not discussing the school or their share of that because Jeremy's already said he's going to talk to him, trying to remedy that. He can only get in when they have those meetings. We can't just barge in. We're not gonna barge in.
And I was gonna go to the January one, but they asked me, the superintendent said, can you wait until February? We got a lot on the January.
So, you know, we have to still operate in a manner of ethics with our neighbors. And the school has been a tremendous partner. The school has been great. These officers, chief and assistant chief and captain have done a great job of sharing with the community what they're doing. We've brought in these internet crimes against children. We've brought in trying to develop narcotics divisions. There is so much happening right now that if you don't realize that the Pryor Police Department is stretched thin, there's an opportunity to open eyes and look. We are looking at bringing in another position to cover moving a really good officer to where he can help us with our narcotics problem through a grant. You know, and for those that don't know how grants work, fail to follow through on your part of the grant and you won't get it next time. You won't. This was brought to the council for approval. The grant was, knowing good and well what was here tonight, that this would have to come up, and the council passed it. The council approved accepting that grant. We can't pick and choose what we spend our money on when we take a grant. We can't pick and choose who's gonna report. We have to report the way it is. We have to do what we said we were gonna do. And by accepting that grant and then saying, well, but you know what? We can look at the documents, we can look at our numbers, we can look at our payroll and our staffing and realize that we're actually still going to be saving money from where we were when we put on the hiring freeze the night that we waited to hire officers and postponed it till later. Back in, I believe it was August 1st meeting that we did that. We've lost other officers and promoted junior officers into those positions, again, at lower steps and ranges, saving money. There has been more than enough proof that by doing this, we're not showing financial irresponsibility. We're actually showing that, hey, we're going out looking for grants, trying to find ways. We're promoting junior officers up. we are doing what we can, but the point is, if you look at the overtime report, it's not only the special overtime that's killing us. It's also officer burnout. You have to remember, these guys are working their tails off. You know, at some point, and I'm not going off into the weeds too far with this, but at some point you have to reward your people. At some point you have to say, you know what, I'll buy everybody here a coffee and a plate of biscuits and gravy for getting these people out of our town. Thank you, GRDA. Thank you, Mays County. Thank you, everybody else that helped. We appreciate it. It's worth $100 to say thank you. But here's the deal. Now we have a position that we've brought in by accepting the grant, where we've agreed to move Stenglin up into that position as a detective. And now we're saying, well, the other part of that, we don't really think we need to do it. Just like we heard a minute ago with the computers. Well, we asked for the computers, but we'd rather spend it on this. It doesn't work that way. We won't get it again.
So you have to hire a new person to fill this position?
Absolutely. That was the verbiage in the grant.
Okay.
Is that we had to hire somebody new to replace the officer that was moved into the narcotics position.
And our jobs, I mean, you guys are more than welcome. If next search what we do, I'll call each one of you. Who wants to come? I'm very open. If there's an issue with a PO, come talk to me. I'll tell you why we did it. I had zero to hide, nothing to hide. That's why I've sent you PowerPoints, I've sent emails. I've communicated with you as best I can because I want it to be open. I don't want anything snuck in.
Well, we talked about that. We talked about that, and it was mislabeled is what it was. It said it was a training exercise.
Correct.
And so that wasn't training. So that's how it was written, as it was for training.
And that's fine. I mean, but I'm very open on everything. You know, a concern I have, an officer was on a call not too long ago. The people we deal with are not good people. They're drug addicts, they got mental health issues, they're in bad situations when they're volatile. An officer went on a call because everybody else was tied up. There was 3 on evening shift, everybody was tied up, he went by himself, the guy came out with a sword after him. You know, put yourself in that officer's situation. I've been there, and it stinks when you're by yourself because you're short-staffed. There's a money issue. Nobody's more concerned than us. I mean, you don't think we're concerned? We are. That's why we're doing everything we can to try to help and remedy that with grants and donations. I mean, you saw the money. That's why I laid out here. It's not to pat myself on the back. It's to show you that we're doing our part to try to help. You know, and as a department head, you have to fight for your department. You know, as the chief, I'm there every day. I see what goes on every day. You know, and if you guys want to come do a ride along, come on. I will get you out there. I want you to see what my officers are doing. I want you to do that because you will understand better if you're out there with them.
I think maybe you shouldn't put you on the spot. Nobody said you've done a bad job. You've done a good job. Nobody said you don't need another man. You need another man. This whole discussion was, and we started off with our accountant giving us advice of what we should do at the beginning of the year. In 6 months, we was going to review it. And I think we can't do anything until we hear from our accountant and get his review. If it takes next week, we may have to do that. But just to go out here and shoot in the dark, and if we don't know where we're at, is foolish.
And that's why there's a grant position here. That's why there's not another position. This grant position is a different position. Like I said, it's that position that is 2 years. In 2 years, we're probably going to lose somebody. In 2 years, you heard when I talked about it before, we can pull the full amount that we need this year to get us through until next. He's not even gonna be on the books until May, probably. We're approving the hiring, but then he's gotta do a pension physical. And then he's gotta be approved by the pension board, which is probably gonna be the April pension board meeting. So it's probably gonna be that first week of May when he's even on payroll. And then he'll go to CLEAT in July.
So
I guess I feel the opposite. I feel like it's financially irresponsible if we don't take this grant and move forward, especially when Mr. Trammell's saying $15,000, which is just a drop in the bucket of anything. So I kind of feel the opposite, that if we are being financially irresponsible if we don't move forward.
I would like to speak. I've been listening, trying to absorb. Now it says discussion and possible action regarding the financial stability of the city to determine if the hiring freeze should be amended. I do not believe there's evidence that's been presented to us to prove that we are financially stable at this point. Period. Okay, that is a element of this. However, the other thing I'm looking at is the general fund would not be paying for this position for a while. And the likelihood of somebody dropping off in 1 year and 3 quarters is there. Now,
Now, on that part, you're wrong, because you can put in for it and draw when you want to, when you need to. So you can put in for it early.
no, what I'm saying is, within, if we had to use that to fully fund it for the first year and 3 quarters, the likelihood of somebody else leaving within that time frame is
Somebody's gonna leave.
probable.
It's extremely high, yes.
And so I'm looking at, it's 2 elements. And that's where, the fact that it's being funded from an outside source is pushing me one way. But the verbiage of being financially stable, I do not believe the city is financially stable right now until we're proven otherwise, based on the fact that our accountant said we should be saving $100,000, and so we should be 600,000 one way, and we're 700 something the
So
other.
what-
So there's a
Well, will
13.
will this make us financially unstable, or will this not change our
Actually,
stability?
that's kind of the point I was gonna make. It could, if you think it theoretically. We're getting a 2-year salaried police officer for $15,000.
Yeah,
That would help negate the required hiring of a police officer outside this grant if we lost an officer, which it sounds like we will. Therefore, it could theoretically improve the financial stability over the 2-year window of the city.
so do we,
Does that make sense?
do we make an amendment for this one time?
Well, no,
Well, that's-
C is to actually do the hire.
That's, so the verbiage on that, I'm. the
But we
one that
actually
wrote
have to
this.
make the amendment before we can even consider C.
Right, but would the amendment be for a one-time hire?
That's what this is for. So that's why the verbiage is this. I specifically worked with Chief to figure out the verbiage based on your hiring freeze. So the wording in your hiring freeze was the financial stability. And so that's why we did this as almost a dual vote, because that's how your hiring freeze was. It was a dual vote, essentially, that it's a freeze and you have to determine that you're financially stable. So this is this particular line item is a partial, you're financially stable enough for this position only, but not necessarily to lift the
So
entire.
it's not that the city is financially stable, it's just to
It's-
support this specific hiring.
Correct, financially
Okay.
stable enough for this.
Okay.
At
And by
this
using the
time,
grant, it actually
Doesn't
helps.
change, yes.
It's not gonna hurt the financial stability that much. In fact, it could help us in the long term.
Yes.
That's the position I'm taking.
Mayor, when is Coker gonna be here to give us a report, other than an email that says we're heading in the right direction? Where is he gonna give us something on paper at this meeting?
So, like we said in the last council meeting, like we said here several times in this meeting, we've got to get the financials wrapped up before it's even worth paying him to come. And it'd be like paying him to come and there's nothing to talk about. That's where we're at right now. We're close. I think within the next month, it's very doable. It's expected that we'll have him here within the next month. So.
When are we gonna get the financials?
We have to do this tonight.
When are we gonna get our December financials?
When I get them done. My goal is to have them done by the end of the month, just like every other month.
Have all the statements come in for December yet?
I think one thing that I'm going to encourage you guys, and I'm not trying to be difficult, but encourage is that we have to remember these financials don't come at the first of the month. They never have, they never will. To expect that, you're causing your own grief, is really the only way to look at that. Nothing has changed in terms of when the expectation of those financials come out. Courtney and Lori, or Lisa and Lori and everybody, they're working hard to get those things done.
Do you have an idea of kind of where our revenues versus expenses are? I know our revenues were up based on the tax reports.
Sure.
They were up pretty good for December, but do we even have a ballpark for expenses?
Can we give our treasurer a second?
I'd just like to say, I do reconcile every month. Our bank accounts that the city has are very solvent. And our budget, yes, we have a budget concern for the year, but what we have in reserve is very solvent, and especially enough to support the hiring of one police officer. Because you're talking about hiring one police officer and possibly losing two very soon. So I just want to say, even though we don't have the December financials ready, we're still working on them, but our bank accounts are very solvent to support this.
And I get that, and I think we all get that, but I think whenever we say the financial stability, we're looking at where we're spending revenues versus expenses this fiscal year, and especially my concern is what impact is that gonna have to us next year?
Next year, yeah.
I think in what I'm seeing, we're still okay. We're still okay next
But-
year. You know, if we keep trending this way, we're gonna have a problem maybe in 5 years. But right now, we're okay, and even next year, we're still okay.
But wouldn't our budget go down next year? Wouldn't our budget up 40?
Possibly.
That's a huge concern, because right now, at the rate we're generating revenues over expenses, if we keep that up at that rate, we're still gonna generate a loss for the year.
In the budget.
In the budget, which is gonna impact our budget of
So we're
40
talking about the general
next
fund.
year.
That's-
In the
that's
general
our
fund.
thing.
I get the city's got money, but we use it for more than just the general fund.
Correct. But this issue that's in front of you right now is to hire a police officer.
Oh, I get that, I'm
And-
for it, and I didn't mean to call you out. Hold on.
We are,
Take a breath.
we are very sufficiently solvent to support this.
All I'm going by is what Coker told me first, when we had the first meeting. He said, you're gonna have to save $100,000 a month to be even for next budget.
For the budget,
Okay.
not
The
for what
first
we
month,
actually
we overspent
have.
80,000, the second one, 185,000, the third one, 350,000. We're not gonna make it. We're
you
gonna
say-
be in
But
the
we're not
hole
going
for
to
next
go
budget.
bankrupt.
But you say what we actually have. Whenever we have expenses that exceed revenues, we're pulling from those savings, our savings accounts. That's, I mean, I don't wanna have a very myopic view here saying, well, we can just overspend this year and maybe next year. I wanna start fixing the problem now, so we don't have that long-term fix.
And I
That's-
believe all these department heads are trying to make that happen. But the issue before you right now is this one police officer.
No, it's not. The whole city's ahead of us right now. At the end of the year, if we don't have the money, I don't wanna lay somebody off. I would rather not hire somebody. Until we have our accountant here to tell us where we're at, we're just shooting in the dark.
Mr. Smith, where do you think that accountant gets his numbers from? And the one that he gets those numbers from is telling you what.
I wanna hear what the accountant says. We pay him he advises.
You are the accountant, aren't you?
Well, at least they didn't tell you you waddle, so. So I think.
Thanks, Lori.
Thank you.
I think
Thank you.
what we need to determine is what's on the agenda here for moving forward. You know, the last thing I'm gonna say on that is that, you know, we look at the number that was there when we put on the freeze, the number that was budgeted. That number is pretty much gone down in terms of the officers that we have and that we're gonna have, and this is bringing in one to replace one that's gone. So, you know, we've not spent any extra on our officers as of right now. Also, remember that there were no raises given this year either. And so those funds that were budgeted for those increases, they were budgeted in the same budget that everybody but one person up here approved. Those numbers are still there. We are bringing in lower paid officers at entry levels to replace officers that were and are paid higher. So we're saving. It will, and I agree with Mr. Trammell, it will help us in the long run. It will benefit us.
I understand what you're saying, that it's a budgeted item and it falls within the budget. My concern about the budget is the revenues haven't come in to satisfy the budget. That's a separate issue. The funds for this officer primarily it's not coming out of the general fund. That's what I'm looking at. That's the only saving grace, if you will, is because it's not coming out of the general fund, because I do not think we should hire out of the general fund right now, especially until we know where we are.
That's all I asked for, is know
but-
where we're at.
But this money
Bingo.
is not coming from the general fund.
Correct.
Is the only thing that's got me thinking.
And ultimately, though, we did approve, we told him to go ahead and accept this grant, you know, and knowing that he was gonna move forward with, you know, interviewing
thank
and
you.
applicants, we knew this was coming, and so,
So,
you know, we need to,
so this amendment will be for this, this hiring only.
Correct.
That's the only, that's.
This
the
vote
only
lets us go to
amendment.
item C and make that,
Next time.
the next one.
But I mean, it says here about how we're gonna amend the hiring freeze.
To responsibly hire a police officer to meet the requirements of the narcotics grant approved by council on November 21st, 2023.
So it's
That's
just
all
one
it's
person.
allowing.
That is it.
That's the
Paying
only
that
thing it
grant
allows.
I
only.
was trying to clarify with
Right.
Chase, when that whole financial, yeah.
So basically, we would be saying to use the grant money to fund this officer.
Yes.
Yeah,
That's it.
Not the, and which means that we're not even fooling with the hiring freeze, dealing with the actual general budget.
Right.
Because I am not prepared to alter the hiring freeze on the general budget.
And that's
at
not
this
even at
point.
play right now. This is about the narcotics grant officer that you guys approved when you approved the grant. And we've got to
So
get this
could we-
done.
could we have
Chief and I
another-
rewrote this probably 10 times to make sure it was for that, exactly.
I spoke with him to make sure we wrote it.
Okay.
Yeah. I think he and I read it to each other multiple times over the phone before we were just like, okay, just send me an email. I need to actually look at this. For that very reason. I wanted to make sure that is all that this is.
Further questions?
I'm thinking about something, about how to word this to satisfy everything.
I think that's what
Sounds
Chase
like
just said.
It's plain and simple.
Yeah, I think it's good.
It's satisfied. Go ahead, Terry.
Before I call for the vote, Mr. Smith,
Speak.
regardless of how this turns out tonight, I already know your stance, so I don't need you to call me 10 million times to tell me after tonight, what we did. Anyway, you understand what I'm saying. I call for the vote.
Thank you.
Trammell,
yes.
Gantier,
Yes,
Smith,
No?
Lamar,
Yes.
Shropshire,
Yes.
Bradshaw,
Yes.
Malure,
Yes.
Chitwood,
yes.
Item C. Almost done, Chief. Discussion and possible action to hire Cameron McCall as a Pryor Creek Police Officer, Range J, Step 1. And I think that base, just for reference, is at about $38,000. Pending on the successful completion of the police pension physical, this hire will be for the COPS grant position.
So move.
Second.
I have a motion from Lamar and a second from Choya. Discussion? Call for the vote.
Gantier,
Yes,
Smith,
No?
Lamar,
Yes.
Shropshire,
Yes.
Bradshaw,
Yes.
Malure,
Yes.
Chitwood,
Yes.
Trammell,
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you guys for the good discussion. We appreciate that. Item 5, City Attorney's Report. Unfortunately, there is
Thanks
no,
again.
there is no action on any of that City Attorney's Report. Item 6, Committee Reports.
May I ask why?
Yes, the business is no longer going forward. That was an
The
email that we received
rezoning,
today.
they don't need it anymore.
Pardon?
They don't need it anymore, the
So the
rezoning.
business-
They don't need the reason, he's
Doesn't sound like it.
dropping out of doing that business. So today he emailed and said,
Nix it, huh?
yeah, without throwing his private reasons out there, he's out.
Okay.
So are we doing no action? Two
No action
questions,
on-
Mostly for Chase.
On
Are we
everything.
pulling these from the agenda or doing no action? And do we need vote for either one of those?
You don't need to vote for no action on them. I think you just say no action and we skip over them.
Okay, thank you.
Make a motion, we don't want a public hearing.
I don't want a public hearing tonight, Joy. No, we amended it before we needed that. Since it was out early, we were able to make the changes we need to then. All right, item 6, committee reports, budget personnel,
February 13th.
ordinance and insurance.
I believe it's the 30th, if I'm not mistaken. It's the final Tuesday of the month.
Okay. Street and maintenance,
January 27th.
January 27th. We have no unforeseeable business that I'm aware of. I have a motion to adjourn.
Motion?
Second.
Okay. Call for the vote.
Smith,
Yes.
Lamar,
Yes.
Shropshire,
Yes.
Bradshaw,
Yes.
Malure,
Yes.
Chitwood,
Yes.
Trammell,
Yes.
Gantier.
Yes.
All right, now we got the Pryor Public Works Authority. We'll call that meeting to order.
So close.
We're almost there. Approved minutes of the January 2nd, 2024 meeting.
Motion?
Second.
A motion from Chitwood and a second from Malure. Call for the vote.
Lamar,
Yes.
Shropshire,
Yes.
Bradshaw,
Yes.
Malure,
Yes.
Chitwood,
Yes.
Trammell,
Yes.
Gantier,
Yes.
Smith,
Abstain.
Okay. Item 3, we have no unforeseen. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
We have a motion from Mr. Chitwood.
Second.
A second from everybody on my left. All right. Mr. Malure has the second. Call for the vote.
who's the second? I thought Lamar said.
They all kind of said it at the same time.
Gotcha, okay.
We need red lights.
Yeah.
Ooh,
That could be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Buzzer.
What's that Google, but that working that Google?
Off point. Are we ready for the vote?
All right,
Okay. Shropshire,
we can have quiet for the
Bradshaw,
vote.
Yes.
Malure,
Yes.
Chitwood,
Yes.
Trammell,
Yes.
Gantier,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Lamar,
Yes.
Oh, man.
What?
normally say we're adjourned at.
You can count on it.
We're adjourned.